Hello everybody, I'm Eric DIEPEVEEN from Stolen Cartridge Games. That's Selma. She's an artist at Stolen Cartridge Games. She's also here. So I'm the co-founder of Stolen Cartridge Games. We founded Stolen Cartridge Games in 2011, and last year we released 2 games, Kids vs. Goblins and Ichi. And actually our goal right now is to dominate the free-to-play market on Facebook and on iOS and Android. But let's just start at the beginning. Stolen Cartridge Games started out as a school project at Utrecht. Utrecht is a great country, a great city in the Netherlands, and it dates back to Roman times. So it's a great city to have a drink and also to have a company, because there's an incubator there, the Dutch Game Garden, and that's one big office with 40 different game companies. And the fun thing about that is that you can just knock on someone's door and ask for advice. Oftentimes during these types of presentations you hear about companies that make millions of dollars and sell trillions of games, and this is not such a presentation. This is a presentation about a company that has about 500,000 downloads, and we made about 60,000 euros last year. And because we're a company with 6 people, that doesn't even cover our costs. So like all stories, it has a beginning, a middle part and an end. And the beginning is Kids vs. Goblins. The middle part is Ichi, and the end is Coastway Paradise. So let's start at the beginning. Kids vs. Goblins was released 6 months too late. We wanted to release it in September of 2011, but we worked on it not for 6 months, but for 12 months. And that must be familiar to some, but it's not really funny. But the reviews have been really good. People seem to like this game, and I liked it. I was really proud of this game. But not everybody was keen on this game, not everybody bought this game. But we did get a nice feature from Apple, and that's because we had a publisher, Crescent Moon Game, and they loved this game, and they talked to Apple a lot, and we got a nice big Kids vs. Goblins banner on the Mac App Store. The day after the release, we got an email from a publisher, and they said Kids vs. Goblins was the biggest flop they had ever had, even though the reviews were great. We got about 7.58. So we were actually stunned. We created the game, we worked 12 months on it, and we loved it, people loved it, great reviews, Apple gave it a feature, but it tanked. On the Mac App Store, in total, we made about 3,000 euros. And that's with a banner, with a great huge feature from Apple. On the iOS front, we got about 8,000 euros. So that's 12 months with 6 developers, and you get about 10,000 euros. And you have a publisher, so that's not a 30% going to the publisher. So we tried to do a few promotions, we changed the price of the game often, but Kids vs. Goblins was dead on arrival. We couldn't save this game, so we let it go. But we learned a lot from it, and we needed to change something about our company, our business plan. So the core problem with Kids vs. Goblins is that the target audience was unclear. When you see the graphics, they're pretty nice graphics, and people were expecting gameplay that was similar to Diablo. It was an RPG and it was something hardcore, but actually it's a really casual game. Everybody could play it. So people who were expecting something more hardcore were a bit disappointed. So our next game had to be clear. The second part we needed to change was release the game on more platforms. We only released it on iPad 2, Mac, and certain iPhones, and that's because the game started out as a PC project. And we ported it over to the iPad when the iPad became popular. So we had a pretty high quality textures and models, and we needed to scale it down, and it took a lot of development time, and it was really hard to make it compatible with a lot of devices. And we need to cut down on development time, because you can't work 12 months with a small team for so many yeah. So Ichi was released 3 months after Kids vs. Goblins. Ichi is something completely different. As you can see, Ichi has super simplistic graphics. It's a puzzle game, and we made a one-button mechanic game. So the only thing you can do on the screen is tap, and if you tap on the screen, everything moves. So you have to guide a ball to all the golden rings, and that's basically it. Super simple, but the game is really difficult. Easy to control, hard to master. People loved it. We got great reviews. And the fun thing about this game is also that you have a level editor. You can create your own levels, and you can share them online. And right now there are over 13,000 levels created by users, and that's pretty awesome. Apple seemed to like it, because we got a huge feature on the Mac App Store. We were editor's choice for a week. And on iOS we got a smaller banner. But a lot of indie developers want a feature with Apple, but they're a bit threatened by it, because they don't have an email address from Apple, and they don't know who to contact to get a feature. But it's actually really easy. Previously, our publisher got the feature for Kids vs. Goblins, but we had a few device IDs in test flight, and those belong to Apple employees. So we had device IDs, and we just matched them with email addresses, and we had a few email addresses from Apple. And there was 3 email addresses, and we emailed them all at the same time, and we had 3 different email conversations with people from Apple. And 2 of them were from the iOS team, and both of them introduced Ichi to their teams. So it was a bit I think that's a bit strange that 2 people from the same team pitch one game. And someone from the Mac team was really fun at this game. So we tried to convince her to Skype with us. And she did. She was really friendly, and she loved it, and she gave us this huge feature. Now on to sales. This is funny. As you can see, the game, this is the first few days after release. So we were making about 2,500 euros a day. That's not a lot, but it's better than the first game. But at the 4th day, we see a big decline. So what's that all about? Well, as I mentioned before, Ichi has user-created content, and the user-created content is hosted on a server. And that server basically crashed. And usually that's not a problem, but this server started sending random code to our game. And we haven't experienced it any time before in development, so we didn't pick that up. So instead of pushing levels to the player, it started sending HTML code or something. And so each time you would boot the game, it would crash. So we had a nice 5-star rating after 4 days, and immediately we got 1-star reviews. We got a lot of 1-star reviews, and sales were just down. We lost the momentum, we were losing a lot of money. So we made an emergency patch. We got it through Apple in a day or something, but the damage was already done. As you can see, we lost the momentum. We were making 2,500 and rising, and it was just lost. And the worst thing about this is that it happened during the launch when we got a huge feature. Oh yeah. 2 days after launch, we made about 15,000 euros. So that's more than our first game did in a year. But it's not that great either. People seem to love it, love the game. After we patched it, we got about 4.5-star reviews. After a few months, the sales were a bit down again. We're at the long tail, and we're making less than 30 euros a month, a day. So we came up with, we contacted a lot of these types of apps: free app of the day, app gratis, app event. And what they do is they offer your game for free, and basically you get a lot of downloads. If you do app gratis for app of the day, in 6 countries you get about 100,000 downloads or more. And Amazon was interested in this too, and we got about 130,000 downloads in a day, and in Europe we got 40,000 downloads. The annoying thing about this is that if your in-app purchases aren't that great, you won't earn any money. The top chart shows the number of downloads we had with Ichi, and the bottom chart shows the revenue. We have about 500,000 downloads, and as you can see, when we have a huge spike, you don't see that reflected on the revenue. These about 400,000 downloads got us about 500 euros. So yeah, that doesn't really work. But you can figure out a way to earn money from this. For example, you can release your freemium game as a paid game, do a few of these promotions, get 200,000 users, and then switch to freemium if you want. On the PC front, everybody wants to get on Steam, but getting on Steam is pretty hard, even if you have an, especially so when you have a puzzle game. And for example, GOG.com, Good Old Games, they don't even accept puzzle games because PC gamers don't like puzzle games. I don't agree with that, but Indie Real is a great bundle. You can get a lot of money from that, and you don't have to do anything. You just offer your game, and you get about 5, maybe 10,000 euros. Indie Gala, same thing. You get less money, and their website is horrible, but it's still a great way to earn quick buck. And after we did about 4 bundles, none of the other bundles wanted our game because we weren't exclusive goods anymore. So instead of doing nothing, we created our own bundle, and that's the Greenlight bundle. And this one launched at the launch of Steam Greenlight. And this bundle celebrates great games that want to get attention for the Steam Greenlight campaign. And the fun thing about this is if you have your own bundle, you get about 20% of the revenue. So even though we are not in these bundles anymore, we still earn money. And so the lesson from this is if you can't join them, beat them or something, I think. Yeah, create your own solutions. In the end, Ichi made little more than 30,000 euros. That's 10,000 from the Mac, 10,000 from the iOS store, and 10,000 from PC bundles. On Android, we got less than 1,000 euros. So Android is something we need to focus on and make our games better compatible for those systems. Because we released about 6 different versions of Ichy, a premium version, a free-to-play version with ads, with in-app purchases, and none of them really stuck at Android. So that's a difficult market for us, and if you have experience with that, we'd love to talk to you. We're not done with Ichy yet, because a lot of people love the graphics for Ichy. They were simple, they were clean, but a lot of people thought it was just a Flash game. It looked really simplistic. So what we're doing now is creating a sports edition. And we're not selling this sports edition to consumers directly, but we're selling this to football clubs and magazines. And right now we're in talk with the biggest soccer league in Europe, maybe a German league, but they're really interested in this game. And the fun thing about it is they will fund the further development of this game. And they will get it exclusive for Germany or Spain or something, and we can re-release this game, localize it for Brazil or the Netherlands. And if you get a partner, they will pay for it. So this is a great way to extend your market and extend and get another revenue stream. So the lessons from Ichi is we needed to reduce the risk, because creating a new IP with different gameplay, people don't know, it's really difficult. Because if they see the screenshot and don't like it, they won't buy it. If they don't know your name, they will likely not buy it. So we needed to do something about that. And we needed to monetize it better. Because our in-app purchases, even though we had 500,000 downloads, 500,000 users, we had less than 300 in-app purchases. And that's pretty bad. And we need to focus on retention and the virality of our games. Because the in-app purchases were linked to the user-created content. And the single-player content was about 60 levels. When people played the 60 levels, they were basically done with the game. There was no incentive to buy the in-app purchase to play the 13,000 user-created levels. So with Coastway Paradise, we're really focusing on retention, on monetization, on the virality of the game. And we're really looking at social games, free-to-play games, and that's basically what this game will be. Surprisingly enough, there are a lot of social games like Heyday and Farmville, and they're great games. But what these games tend to have is they have a huge frequency of play, so people play it each day, multiple times a day. But as you can see, single-player games, they have way better retention because they have something you care about. They have a storyline. You want to progress in the game. So what we try to do is combine those two and create basically a new genre of social games. So social games with storylines and other single-player content. So Coastway Paradise, I'm going to give a little trailer for this game. This game is really based on Animal Crossing and Harvest Moon, both games basically only available on Nintendo platforms, and these games are selling great. Last few months, Animal Crossing for Nintendo 3DS has sold more than 3 million copies, and these games are not available on iOS. There's nothing like it on iOS or Android, and we don't get it. So why not take that type of gameplay that's really social, really casual also. There's no guns, but just farming and fishing and bug sketching and decorating your house and walking around with silly hats. And why not combine that with the great monetization and retention that games like Heyday and Farmville have. And that's basically what Coastway Paradise will be. And to further monetize, to further get another stream of revenue is to cross-promote our game with other brands. What we will do is we will use other brands like Coca-Cola, or for this example, UPS, and UPS can deliver all the gifts you get in this game. So for example, I will gift a new hat to my co-worker Selma. A boat from UPS will arrive at her island, and a nice box of UPS will be delivered on her island, and she can unpack the box. And again, the fun thing about this is that brands will pay for this. And the fun thing also is that your users might love it. If you're making a game for 14-year-old girls, you should find a brand that fits with them, and they will actually like it, and you will get paid for it. So that's perfect. What we try to do is actually try something. We don't want to let our games die and do nothing. So if you can't get it in a bundle, just create your own bundle. And if your game graphics don't fit your customers, then change the graphics. Just re-release the game as a different IP. Also, we should follow the money more. As indies, indies tend to do something new and progressive and something you haven't seen before. And that is something really cool, but if you got a company with 2 people, you might live for a few years of those awesome games. But if you got 6 people or 20 people, you need to follow the money. See what's grossing, what are the most grossing games, and take those best parts and create your own thing. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
Can you give us a little bit of inside story of your experiences with about working with a publisher? Would you recommend working with a publisher? You mentioned one with the first game, which was a flop. Probably they have given you hard times. I don't know. What are your recommendations for independent developers?
Well, I won't recommend anything, but having a publisher is something really useful, especially when you're a beginning developer. You can learn a lot from publishers. They have a lot of experience, and they will tell you if something is wrong with your game, and you should listen to them. But the market is changing, and you can do it yourself. So it's difficult. It depends on the game and the type of company you want to be. I don't really answer your question, but it just depends. There are benefits, but there are also disadvantages. Any more questions?
Hi. Looking at the new game, it seems that you're going for something significantly more expensive than your previous projects. Now, one of your recommendations was to reduce risk, so I'm curious about the dichotomy there.
Yes, we're still a bit ambitious, and we don't have a producer yet. So yes, our plan was to release a game every 3 months, and with Coastway Paradise we failed at that because we've been working on that for, I believe, 8 months already. But that is the direction our company is heading in. We are creating a framework we will use for Coastway Paradise, and we can easily create new games on top of that. So the game you see will be rebranded, reskinned, for example, set in space, and have similar gameplay. So we can re-release games really quickly after we finished Coastway Paradise. So we basically changed the whole company direction with Coastway Paradise.
Thank you.
Yes, hello. Thank you very much for your presentation. It's very, very interesting. I found the idea to include some well-known trademarks like UPS or Coca-Cola a very good and nice idea. But I was wondering how it works, because if you are a small company and you go and see UPS, I don't think they will be even answered to your point. So how do you do to attract nice brands like Coca-Cola or UPS?
That's a good question, and we tend to work with great people. Right now, we're working with the ex-senior vice president of marketing from Habbo Hotel, and Habbo Hotel is a great success, and he's working with us to get those deals. And he has a lot of experience also with monetization. So find someone who knows this area of expertise and work with them.
So you directly contact them, or do you go through a specialized agency?
We tend to be really direct. We just email someone and we say, hey, look at this. Can we schedule a meeting? We can come to your office. And sometimes they don't want to do it, and then we'll try again in a week. Or if they want to do it, then we'll show the game. So that's something a lot of indies do. They tend to stand still and wait for success to happen. But we tend to be really directly and just go for it.
As a company, how are you funded in doing your operation?
Well, we hope to be funded by our own games, but we do have some work-for-hire assignments to fund our development costs.
Can you give a balance of your pipeline in terms of work-for-hire versus creating your own IP in keeping a company afloat?
Yeah. Let's see. Last year we did about 2 months of work-for-hire assignments, and the rest was just developing our own games. And you got to understand, we live the indie life, so that means we're professional developers without money. Yeah.
Hello, thank you for your presentation and for sharing so much information. Have you paid something for the free apps service?
No. You have FAAD, FAAD.com, and they do charge money, and some of the others charge money as well. And often that comes in the form of the added revenue you get from the promotion. 50% of that you have to give back to those providers. But if you have a nice game and you talk to them directly and say, hey, can you help us out? They are friendly. So we didn't pay anything for that. And I don't think they would have made any money, since we only made 500,000 or 500 euros from 400,000 downloads. So.
Thank you for the lecture. Eric, a question. Can you give us a quick rundown how big your team is and who does what kind of talent you have?
Yeah, we have 6 people. I'm the game designer, Selma, she is the artist, and we have 1 3D artist, 2 2D artists, and 2 programmers. And we have a few interns, like marketing intern and extra programmer intern. And we work together with the other companies in our building and an incubator program. So.
Eric.
Just one more question.
I think we have to stop
okay.
now. I'm afraid, so that everyone gets to lunch in time as well, and to not run into the next session. So thank you very much. I think I've never seen a presentation sharing such bad numbers anywhere before, so I'm really happy.
I got a lot more of those numbers if you want.
No, I'm done. I'm done with bad numbers, but yeah, it was quite impressive to see the the hits and downloads and in comparison the money that you guys made out of it. So, but I'm happy you're still here, and I wish you all the best for the next game.
Thank you.
Okay.